Hedera is a completely different beast in this market, and I feel like now a lot of people are starting to be aware of this because of these media companies like Generation Infinity really sounding the alarm on just what is happening around Hedera. And this is, of course, with names like Lehman Baird, who is the co-founder of Hedera, that is explaining what's happening right now and their overall goal within the Web3 ecosystem. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So recently I did quote this video by Generation Infinity. Now it's a 9-minute long video. So I can't play the video clip in this video. I do apologize, but it is 9 minutes long. But I did say that the team behind Hedera and HBAR are truly building the bridge to mass adoption of Web3. It's crazy to me that Hedera isn't a much larger name in the space. It's very obvious that at this point, Hedera will be a much larger name in the space and HBAR will solidify a spot in the top 10. I've always said HBAR is going to be a top 10 player. It's very clear to me. If we go over here, we have Keys to Mass Adoption and Safeguarding Humanity, Decentralized Recovery Alliance. This is him exploring the pivotal role of DREC Alliance, open industry standards, and the tokenization of everything. Now, they do mention a few things here. This is actually where we start to see DREC Alliance be talked about. It is for about roughly, 2 minutes. So I'm going to play that section quick so that you guys can listen closely, because this is actually a very important part of the video. So check it out.
Have to do that to reach the whole world. If you have something like that, a program that manages that, the program could simply say, hey, anytime you want to connect with a friend, you can do that. The two of you connect. Maybe one of your phones looks at the other phones. You just push one button to say, I want to connect with someone. I want to pair with them as my helper. You connect with them, and now they're your helper. And it's everything else is invisible. Now, what's actually happening is every single day, it's going to go back to their device and say, hey, does your device still have my secret? Prove it. Give me a cryptographic proof you still have my secret, to make sure they still have it. And if they don't, it'll warn you. But as long as things are going well, it is totally invisible. It's doing all that work behind the scenes. When you add a new person, it gives little pieces of your key to all the old people. So if you had 10 friends and you add an 11th one, it gives everybody a 1/11th share and tells them to get rid of the 1/10th share. All that's invisible. It's got to be hidden from you. And as long as all of that is invisible, oh, and then when you lose your phone, you've lost everything. You need to recover. You just go and pair with your friends again. And as soon as you've repaired with half your friends, suddenly you get back everything that you had lost, including the list of the rest of your friends in case you forgot them. It tells you the whole list. And they don't know who each other are for safety. So that's the kind of simplicity that you want. But you can even go a step further. There are banks and credit unions talking about, hey, we'll just set this up for you automatically when you join us. We will automatically give you a wallet that's built into your bank app that can store stuff for you. And without even you knowing it, we're going to set up several helpers for you. And you'll be split across those helpers. And then when you get more sophisticated, you can add some helpers of your own. So it isn't just friends and family. It can be big organizations that are being a helper. And it is truly invisible when they set up the first 3 for you. And then it's up to you if you want to add more. So we've got to make this super, super easy to do. This DREC system that I talked about, you split up your secrets with people, is post-quantum resistant. That means that someday when someone builds a giant quantum computer that can break, well, in some sense, all of our current systems, because all of our current systems have something vulnerable somewhere in them, it won't be able to break this. And in fact, even when you're giving people secrets today, nobody can record them going over the internet and then wait a decade and use a giant quantum computer to break them. We're secure from the beginning. And that's important. An enterprise can do the same thing that your grandmother can do. Why not? You can use friends and family of the enterprise. You can use banks and credit unions and lawyers. You can use them as your helpers. But an enterprise also has one other thing they could do instead. An enterprise, a big company that has lots of divisions, could have each division being a helper. And so the enterprise itself keeps everything indoors. And many enterprises would like that idea, but you still have the resilience because no one employee could erase everything accidentally and you've lost everything. And so you have redundancy even within the enterprise. And we'll have a version 2.0 eventually where where even you don't know your secrets and you need your helpers to help you even sign a transaction to move something, move a token or move crypto. And so an enterprise could even do that. And then no single employee is physically capable of stealing everything. You have to get people from different divisions cooperating.
So I want to pause it there because, again, we're just kind of running with it a little bit, but the main goal of the DREC Alliance is to make sure everything is as secure as possible. Make sure that, even enterprises that are utilizing Web3, dapps or wallets or anything, right? We want to make sure that everything is extremely secure every step of the way. But if something does happen, your phone gets lost or, whatever the case may be, you can now get back in, because for the longest time, the number one thing that everyone has complained about is how if I was new to crypto, I would not understand the 12 or the 24 word phrases. And if I did, forget it, all of a sudden, all my money's gone. So now this is making that extremely secure. It's fixing that problem. And even back in September, right? It's not just Hedera, it's Cardano, it's Ripple, it's, Casper. There's so many names tied back to this. And this is to lead the security aspect around Web3. Make sure that Web3 can be trusted. Make sure that Web3 is as safe as possible, as secure as possible. And, I do think that this is going to be huge. And we actually have down here that without a single standard approach, everyone might create their own method for helpers to hold pieces of your secret. However, if there are 1,000 incompatible standards, it could be impossible for you to be my helper or for me to be yours, and if we're on different platforms. So listen, if we think about this, we want to make sure that all of this is compatible across platforms. So all of the big players are coming together to form this DREC Alliance to make sure the entire, the key players around this space are compatible with one another. And this is why this DREC Alliance is so crucial to focus on. Now, on top of that, right, as we do really kind of look at Hedera, don't forget that 2025 is most likely going to be the year where we have an HBAR ETF, which is going to be huge for, Hedera. We already see it with Bitcoin. We already see it with Ethereum. Big shout out to Mark Chadwick X for this. Uniquely designed for enterprise, world-class GC, partnered with NVIDIA, Intel, Equity Labs, high regulatory compliance. It's a perfect fit. HBAR's proactive regulatory compliance, clear utility, decentralized governance by reputable entities, and existing ETF filings make it a strong candidate for the SEC approval. Now, we do know for a fact, actually, that from the ETF experts on Wall Street, they already told us that HBAR probably is going to get an ETF approval within the first quarter. It just makes sense. It's one of the key players in the US. It is a US based company. We know that with this pro crypto admin, with a pro SEC as well around crypto, it feels like a lot of these things are going to be streamlined. So I would not mind seeing, HBAR having an ETF approval by the end of quarter one. I think that would be very bullish, but check it out.
Well, here's the thing, when we were at Valkyrie, the obvious, we looked at the things that were obvious, right? The things that were, marketable, things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and even, a couple of others that were, kind of broad market everybody was looking at. And when I took a break before starting Canary, I actually traveled to Tokyo and Korea, part of my old stomping ground from the TradFi world, to see what was happening in crypto over there. Because I don't know if you saw this, Nate, but when it comes to trading pairs, you usually think that, okay, the US dollar is the dominant trading pair for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But for several points in time, the Korean won is the dominant trading pair. And it actually took over as the dominant trading pair in Q4 of 2023, Q1 of 2024. And I said, look, I've got to get over there on the ground, see what's going on, see what they're looking at. And I already had it in the back of my mind that HBAR was quite interesting because it had real enterprise applications. We've already established that Bitcoin is the king cryptocurrency. But what about enterprise applications, which is really the next step here? And not only was I looking at it from that perspective, big industrial uses, enterprise uses, it's a little bit different than your typical blockchain. But when I was in Korea, I realized that it was a top 5 traded token. And there was also a lot going on there. And by the way, that's also how I got to focus on XRP, because it's another one that's huge in Japan, huge in Korea. And they usually lead the way in technology, those two countries. I mean, that was something I learned from my days in video games, right? You know, those two countries led the way in video games. You know, they had a version of the iPhone 5 years before we had the iPhone. They were using it for, you know, consumer purposes when we were still on commercial over here back in 2007. So that's really what stuck with me was, okay, HBAR. Nobody else is looking at it. I've got an opportunity to be first if we do something there. So let's go out and lead with one of the leading enterprise blockchains that I don't feel like anybody else is paying attention to.
And that last little section there is so crucial. The leading enterprise player that no one is paying attention to. And yeah, when we think about what's going on, right? The entire landscape for Hedera has already been painted by, you know, players outside of the US, for an example. We see Hedera becoming a massive name outside of the US, very similar to Ripple, which is also giving us an insight that 2025 is going to be a tremendous year for a lot of these utility projects that have, you know, really kind of taken the time to expand outside of the US and be accepted and embraced in areas like Australia, for an example, the UK, the UAE, Singapore. I mean, you name it, right? Hedera has become a massive name. Ripple has become a massive name. All of these big utility projects have become a massive name. And it goes to show you that, you know, once we do have, you know, complete embracement in the US, these projects are going to grow majorly. And I'm not just talking about HBAR becoming a top 10 project. No, I'm talking about HBAR, you know, going beyond almost everyone's price predictions, anyone's expectations, because again, the stage is set for HBAR and Hedera to become key players in this entire space. And long term, I'm telling you guys right now, Hedera has been a blue chip name, in my opinion, for a very long time. I said it back in 2021 that Hedera is going to be a blue chip name. It's going to be a 100-year plus company, and HBAR is going to become a very large piece of the Web3 future. And when we think about Web3, we already know that Web2 and Web3 is converging at a massive rate. BlackRock's here, Fidelity's here, all of the big asset managers are here, and they are prepared to tap in to players like Hedera, especially if we go back to that video where Lehman Barrett is saying, hey, guess what? We want to make sure that enterprises and institutions and these big players, they can trust this you know, major innovation that's happening with the DREC Alliance, for an example. And remember, this is all through industry names, industry leading names like Ripple, Cardano, Hedera, Casper, that are all converging together to make sure that if you are an enterprise, if you're an institution, you can trust this tech. You could trust this security model. And why is that so important? Well, it's because trillions of dollars will be flowing on chain over the next, you know, few months, years. So get ready. And Hedera is a key player when it comes to all of this. You must focus on what Hedera is doing. And with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.